Monday, January 23. What portion for offerings? Read Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 17. Rather than a percentage, what criterion does God give as the basis for the amount of our offerings? Deuteronomy 16 verse 17. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he has given you. Our offerings are an acknowledgement and expression of our gratitude to God for his abundant gifts of love, redemption, sustenance, and constant blessings of many kinds. So, as we noted in the passage above, the amount of our offerings is based on what we have been blessed with. Luke 12:48, Jesus speaking, says, "For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required." Read Psalm 116, verses 12 to 14. How are we supposed to answer the question posed in verse 12? How does money fit in with the answer? Psalm 116, beginning at verse 12. What shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits toward me? I will take up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord, now in the presence of all his people. How could we ever repay God for all his blessings to us? The simple answer is that we never could. It seems that the best we can do is to be generous with the cause of God and in helping our fellow human beings. When Jesus sent out his disciples on a missionary trip, he told them, "Freely you have received, freely give," in Matthew 10, verse 8. Our offerings contribute to the development of a Christ-like character. We are thereby changed from selfishness to love. We are to be concerned for others and the cause of God as Christ was. Let us always remember that, as it says in John 3:16, God so loved that he gave. In contrast, as sure as day follows night, the more we hoard for ourselves, the more selfish in our own hearts we will become, and the more miserable we will feel as well. It is up to us to determine what amount we give and what entity receives our gifts. But bringing an offering to the Lord is a Christian duty with spiritual and moral implications. To neglect this is to do spiritual damage to ourselves, perhaps more than we realize too. And so to finish today, what do your offerings and your attitude toward giving them say about your relationship with God? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful. And here is a disclaimer. Contents of these lessons are not intended to be financial advice, but is general commentary based on biblical principles. The reader is encouraged to seek competent professional advice which will suit their particular personal situation.